Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, get your phones out.
Okay. There has been so much happening and changing that I'm going to review a few things, knowing that many of you do not have the latest, greatest, which is okay. And, you know, I've invited the Android people to, of course, come along and do some editing with us. But on the iPhone, there's been so much updates. And I'm going to go through the settings right now. I want you to follow along and click on settings on your main page. And then I want you to scroll down until you come to music, TV, photos, camera, and click on camera. Just click on it or the little caret pointing out. And now we're going to get into some important, very important things. Now, let me say that if you have an iPhone 7 or maybe a 6, it's not going to have everything that I show, and that's okay. You know, we used to say in different ways, it's not the arrow, it's the shooter. It's not the camera, it's the photographer. But the first one up here is formats, and we'll click on it. And I'm going to suggest that you try high efficiency, which is going to be an 8-bit rather than a 6-bit. Now, only if you have a new Apple 12 Pro or Pro Max will you have Apple RAW. I have mine turned on, but don't worry about that. That's okay. So now, most compatible is a JPEG. It takes up more room, and it's not as good a file as Apple's come up with. So now I'm going to click on camera, the top, go back, and then I'm going to come down here to record video, and I want you to click on record video. Now we have all kind of choices. I would click on the highest choice that you have. I have 4K or 4,000 at 60 frames a second rather than 1080. But whatever you have, whatever your highest is, I recommend you click on it. And you can always come back and look what it says in the below down here. Now, the other thing about your iPhone, you should be up to date with the operating system of 14.4 because you're going to get the most out of it. Believe me, you will. And I have mine at 4K at 60 frames a second. Do not touch that show PAL. That's a European thing. But then I have turned on, you may not have it here, but I have turned on HDR video. If you don't have it there, don't worry. Nothing else now in this segment. So I'll go back to the camera up here. And now I have, I'm not going to worry about slow motion. Record stereo sound. Why not if you want to? Preserve settings. This can be very important. It's grayed out, and you have to hit the little arrow, and it's hidden back here. But what it says is confusing. Live photo. Preserve live photo settings rather than automatically resetting to live photo turned on. I had somebody call me after I did a workshop for the Photographic Societies of America. I will not mention any names. And she said, Jerry, I have 10,000 live photos. In other words, she didn't pay any attention to that. And live photo is a 3-second video. But so you want that turned on so you can control it. Okay, very, very important. Go back to the camera again up here. And then as we move down, scan QR codes, that's up for you. But if you have one that says, it says use volume up for burst, turn it on. That means you can, while you've got the camera aimed, you can use the volume up button and you get 10 frames a second as long as you hold it down. And to get the decisive moment, that's the cheap way. There's another way, and I'll explain, but this way you don't have to buy an extra video editing thing. So volume up, have it turned on. Then scan QR codes, it's up to you. Grid turned on. That's a compositional thing. It's a reminder. Turn it on. Mirror front camera, turn it on. View outside the frame, leave that alone.
Jerry, what is mirror front camera?
Have that turned on, correct.
No. What exactly does that mean?
Well, let's not get into that yet, okay? Okay. If you have scene detection, turn it on. If you have prioritized faster shooting, turn it on. If you have lens correction, turn it on. If you have smart HDR, turn it on. Believe me, turn these on. Now, we have just done, I'm going to click back to settings up here at the top and come back where we actually, settings, where we had camera, and now go to photos. Touch the photos. Okay. I have iCloud photos turned on. There is a disadvantage to that. And that disadvantage is if you're out someplace and there's no Wi-Fi, you can't go back and get those cloud photos. Or if you're in an airplane mode is turned on, you cannot sit there in your airplane seat and edit photos while you're waiting for the flight to get over with. So there's a disadvantage of cloud, but when you upgrade to a new phone, don't get the lowest memory. Don't get 64 or less. I would never get less than 256. Get the middle. You don't have to get the highest, but move it up because these files are getting bigger. And if you don't have a 12 Pro or Pro Max, you can still shoot raw files with 2 or 3 other apps, and I'll talk about that later. But get the memory, okay. Keep and download image, or the other is optimized iPhone storage. So this, you can do either one here. Upload to my photo stream, turned on. Upload to my burst photos, turned on. Shared albums, if you have this, turned on. Hidden albums, if you have it, turn it on. And then down below, autoplay videos and live photos. Of course, if you're going to use some live photos for something. And then high dynamic range, view full HDR, have that turned on if you have it. I don't have holiday events turned on because they're holiday events from around the world. Down below, transfer Mac to PC, automatic. And this is kind of important. And we can talk about some of the transferring later on. Okay, now go back to scan. Now we can just, if you've got a newer iPhone, you swipe up to the bottom and you're out of that. We now have done the important thing of settings. And this is, many times, even sometimes in the App Store, unless the person that's helping you is a photographer, you may not get some of this help. I haven't written this down. I've only done it verbally, but I probably, in my speaker notes, should eventually write this down. With 14.4 operating system, there's something new. And here we have up here photos. So you could go into photos. And by the way, when you go into photos, I recommend down at the bottom, let's turn on albums, not the library. The library is set up by year, date, day, and so forth. Just do that for me. Then under albums, my albums, it says recent. Well, there's 4,256 recent photos. That's all the photos I have in there. But this is where we're starting from. And then down here it says shared albums. If I scroll up from the bottom, people and places, media types, utilities, and then look at the very bottom down here. Recently deleted. You know, many of us, we have out of focus pictures, or we slipped and touched the shutter button, and we really didn't want that. You want to delete those because you're just taking up memory. But then it's still in the camera. So you go to recently deleted. I'll touch that. And then it says select. I'll hit select. And it says delete all. Well, I'm going to hit delete all because those are pictures that I don't want or I wouldn't have deleted in the first place. So now, go back up the albums. Now I have cleaned them off. And so I'll recover a little memory right away. And the other thing about it, see the plus sign up here at the top? That's where you can make other albums. It could be a trip that you made. It could be whatever thing that you want. Here's selfies I made, black and white, infrared photos, and different teaching things that I do, farm life, favorites. I've got to change my favorites because favorites is also where you take an image, and for some reason, and I'll show you mine here, I'll click on it, I have 46 favorites. Some of the reason for the favorites is so I can use it for teaching tonight, and you'll see some of these occur in a little bit. So I use it for right now for teaching and some of the things that I'll be doing tonight. So I've got it right in here. So I have to reach out here and reach out here. I could just put teaching photos, but just to save time, all you do is mark it with a little, when you have a photo that's not a favorite, like right here, if I had opened this photo right here, Sparks Lane and down here, and I see down here a heart, all I have to do is touch that, okay, and now it's in the favorites. So this is something you should know. Another interesting thing, if I take a photo, let's take a photo of this tree here, and I pull up on the photo, it says, add a caption. Now, this is like Lightroom without having to pay for it. Your caption could be shoe tree, Amish shoe tree, or it could be tree, or it could be whatever I want to do here with it. Amish food, you know, see the shoes on the tree. The Amish kids only go through 8th grade, and then they get all kind of freedom. If they got some old shoes they don't like, they tie them together and throw them up on the tree, then take off in a horse and buggy.
I'm sorry, Jerry. How did you get the caption field?
Okay, just a second. So here's an image, and all I do is push up. Whoop, hold it. Down here. So I've got an image here.
Oh, okay, I see it.
And I push up and it says add a caption.
Right.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
It is cool. And so you could put like keywords in there, whatever you want to. Now, I'll show you something else that's really nice. Notice down below here where I got albums, see the word search? This will blow your mind. It's done things that you didn't even know about. I'll hit search. And then 1 year ago, winter, trips, weddings, driving, museums. In fact, I'm going to just put up here and type in trees, Trees. And it says, I have 477 photos of trees. Well, I didn't mark these, but it figured that out. And so I can go in here and start looking through all these photos of trees that I have. Isn't that incredible? So I could find a photo of a tree that I shot 6 years ago, 5 years ago, or 3 years ago. And so it does all kinds of things for us. So now I'll cancel that. And then I'll pull back down here and I'll go back to albums. If I'm looking something for by the year, that's where the library is. But I kind of like to use the albums. Now, that's another story. Hit albums up here. Remember, you have a plus sign. When you hit that plus sign, then it will come up. I'll hit the plus sign. It says new album. And then you put a title in. And that's how you start a new album. And I'm going to cancel here for right now. Okay. And I'm going to go to favorites. Now, it's interesting when you're in an album that you put these together. Well, let's not go to favorites. Let's just take another one here. Promo. I'll take promo. And let's say that I want to move something to the front. These are just some pictures of mine. Rather than my picture in front, it's a little tricky. I can hold down. And of course I can.
Hey, Jerry, sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt. Do you, since you're the host now, you have to let someone in? Do you see someone waiting to get in under participants?
Well, I can't see that. That's
the
why
participants window on the bottom. Oh,
see that I can't see it. Carl.
Okay.
So you take care of that.
Then I have to become the host again. Yeah.
No,
I have to reclaim the host, so I can't do
well,
that.
Well, there can be two hosts, Carlos.
Yeah.
We can't stop, and I can't stop now for this.
Okay. Well, I don't see how there can be two hosts. So
Carlos, you
that
can
must
make
be a different
yourself
plan.
a co-host.
Yeah, that must be like a different a pro plan. I mean, we have the pro plan, but I don't see it. I don't see how to.
Well, for right now, let me continue. Okay.
You can't hit participants in the bottom of your screen.
No, that's not there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're using your iPhone. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I can touch a picture, and then it says copy, share, favorite, show in all photos, make key photo, remove. So you got a lot of options. Well, I'm not going to do that. But let's say that I want to move pictures around. I can, there it goes. So I can change the order. And this is really kind of neat. Not that I need that picture of that little blue stem with a macro lens on there, but I moved it. Now, here's the other thing. If I start with the first picture, all right, and I put my finger on it, I think, once again here, take the first picture. Well, I moved him around, okay. But what I'm saying here, here we go. The three little dots right up here, on the side up here, the three little dots, I'll touch that. And look at here. Look at all this. Slideshow. So now I'll hit slideshow. And now in slideshow, I got options. And I got Ken Burns. So I'm going to take Dissolve. I can speed it up. Done. And so they even provide the music. And then it'll go do a slideshow. Now, if you have an Apple TV, the little black box, and a smart TV at home, you could do this wirelessly and put your photos on the big screen. I'm going to stop this. I'm just showing you a couple things that is really kind of interesting. And some of you probably didn't even know that you had it. Now, the next thing that I want to show you, because I've asked you to update, and let me just take a picture here, right here, Sparks Lane at Cades Cove. Now, where it says this is the native camera, shot on the native camera, or it could be shot on another camera, but they're now in. You're in here. And I hit edit. And then when I hit edit, if I hit the first tool down here, I now got a whole string of tools. And let me tell you something, these work. This is the fast way to do easy editing. And I always hit auto. Did it change it? Yes. Not much, but every one that's got yellow on it, probably 10 of them, were changed, which helped me. Now, there are three things. If auto changes it, I leave it. But you may want to write this down. Exposure, contrast, and saturation. Exposure, contrast, and saturation. Don't use them. They're so powerful and maybe not controllable. And so I skip over those. So the next one is exposure, because we have white point, black point, we have all kinds of things. Here we have brilliance. I can move that. Highlights, I can pull that up or down. Shadows, pull it up or down. And the next one is contrast. Skip it. Next one, brightness. I can brighten it up or taking it down a little bit. Black point. Now I come to saturation. It's too drastic. That's where Snapseed works better. But you've got vibrance. Sure, you can use that. It's not as subtle. Warmth, if you want to warm it up like it's a morning time or evening, go ahead. It's your picture. Tint, I kind of stay away from that. Now the last four, sensitive, sharpness. You'd be better sharpening in Snapseed. The next one, definition. Now this one, you can move it around. This is like structure in Snapseed or Nick, or like on your computer, clarity. It's mid-tone contrast, definition is. The next one, noise reduction. Again, sharpening, noise reduction. I wouldn't go above 10. The last one is vignette, and all of you know that one. Then I'll hit done. So didn't even go into an application. And have I improved it? Yes. Non-destructive. And this also works on raw files. Whether you bring a raw file in from your big boy, big girl camera, or Micro Four Thirds, whatever you got, you bring a raw file in, you can edit raw, non-destructive. And that's what you want. In the same way when we do with the others. So this is some important stuff that sometimes they don't tell you, because sometimes they're not really fine photographers like you guys are. Okay, now I'm going to scroll up to the bottom, and I have mine on the first page. One of the things I learned from a friend down in Florida a long time ago, he took a course from me, and somebody showed him, because they always have 4 things down here. I only have 3, so I can move something from look all the pages I have here of stuff. I have 300 and oh my gosh, 327 applications for different reasons. And so if I have only 3 here and there's something on my last page, I can pull it down and move it to the front page. I keep most of my regular applications right here that I'm using all the time. And I probably have 10 or 12 that I use all the time. So in here, if I touch this, that's a series. Let me go to this other one here. What's back here? Here's I guess 3 pages of different things on here. And I can show you how to do that. You just pull 2 over the other, and you can make them in a group. It just saves a lot of time. But anyway, this is some of the organizational things. Now, what I want us to do down here, find out where you have Snapseed, and let's open that up right now. Okay. Now, Snapseed, it says tap anywhere to open a photo. So that's what you want. So then I'm going to go here. Somebody's coming in. I did have an admit up there, so I did let somebody in. Okay, I'll tap here, and I'll open from device. Not the last image. I'm not going to go to the camera. Open from device. And so I'm going to go up here, be sure I have the album selected, and I'm going to go to favorites because I put all mine in favorites. And so I'm going to go down to the picture that we're going to edit. And some of you have seen this before, but it's the same one, but then you're going to see a different one just a bit. And it says up here, use. So you're going to use it. Okay. So now, in my speaker notes that will be available, they've been updated as of 2 days ago. You're going to get a whole thing about using Snapseed. But one of the things that I recommend, if you have something that's crooked, and I know these skyscrapers are not setting straight, and they didn't put them up crooked. So instead, we're not going to go to looks. That's presets. You can play around those yourself. Go to tools, and in tools, instead of crop, you want to straighten it first. Or if you crop now and then we straighten it, you're going to overcrop, and then you got to start over. So go down to perspective, right here, perspective, open that up, and now you see 4 different things. So now we're going to use rotate, and just watch me. I'm going to put my finger. In fact, I can actually put my finger right here and get out of the way. I put my finger in the picture just to get that thing out of the way. But now I'm going to take my finger and keep it down and start moving until I see the lines lining up between the 2 right tall skyscrapers. Now look down below in the bottom of my picture, and you see a black spot. And look on the upper right corner, coming down, a black spot. When I take my finger off, that's called content-aware fill. Take my finger off and fill it up with the beautiful information. Now, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to hit the X and cancel. So I'm going to go to Tools again, just to show you a second time. In perspective, we're going to pick the Rotate one, and I'll touch right in here someplace, just to get it out of the way. And then I'm going to put my finger on, and I'm going to go to left or right, whatever I've got to do. And when you take your finger off, be sure you lift straight up, or it'll be crooked again. Okay, take it off. Now, I lock it in by hitting the check mark on the right. Now, I'm going to go pretty fast here, so kind of keep up with me. Now I will crop it. So I'll go to Tools. Crop is on the top row, far right. I'll touch the crop tool. And I can see in here, the last time I did it, I did a 3x2 or a 6x4, like a postcard. But I'm going to go to free crop over here. It's on the far left. And so I'm going to crop just for me, for my photo. And I don't want all this negative space in the bottom. Now I pick what I want to do, free. Then I'm going to touch right in here just to get that out of the way. Okay. Guess what? Guess what? No, that's free. Okay. So now I'm going to crop out a lot of this bottom down here. How much water do I need? And there's a lot of work down there, and I want to save time. And then I'm going to pull up the top and come down. But I don't want to get too close to the skyscrapers. So I'm going to leave a little bit of that stuff right there and let my finger off. And don't worry, we'll get that off of there. But now I have to lock it again Didn't save anything. It just locked it in. Hit the check mark again. I've locked it in. Now I'm going to go to Tools, and now I'm going to go to the Healing tool. We don't have a clone tool here. That's in Retouch. So Healing tool. And then I'm just going to play with it a little bit. May have to do it 2 or 3 times. Now, if you don't like the way it turned out, there's a left arrow down here. So you can touch that left arrow, and it's just going to bring it back in. So now I'll do it again. That's good enough. Okay. Then I got to lock it in here, right here. Now, there's another option. And that other option is up here at the top. It looks like a stack of things. They call it a stack, and that crooked arrow. If I touch that, then I come down here to View Edits, and there's my layers. You know, really, it's like layers in Photoshop. Those are the things I did. But now we're not done, and I'm not going to change anything yet. So I'll come back up here, get out of that with the arrow up at the top, get out of there. And so now I'll do a little bit more. And so now I'll hit Tools again. Now I'll take the very first tool. Now, we're only going to use about 6 tools right away to get started here, and that's okay. And if we have time, I'll show you more tools. So, Tune Image. Now touch that. Now if you touch it at the, and by the way, you see this down here, the bottom? If I touch that, now I just get a line graph of that picture. So if I touch that line graph, I give sort of a histogram from the 0 here, which is black, and the 0 here that's white. Now, if I touch the line down here, that's the same like scrolling your finger up and down: brightness, contrast, saturation, ambiance. What is ambiance? Well, I'll tell you what Jack Davis says it is, because I asked him. Ambiance is really a handy tool, but nobody ever explained it to me. I touch it. Okay. Now, if I go from left to right, I can put my finger down here. I don't have to put it in there. Left to right. Look at what it did. It makes the highlights darker and the dark areas brighter. Or I can go the other way, and it makes the bright brighter and the blacks blacker. Well, I don't want that. I want to bring out that sky a little bit, and maybe open up the bottom. So you don't have to go all the way. Don't be a wild. Always be sensitive about this. Then take your finger off. Now, I'm going to lock this in right here. Lock it in. So I kind of took care of that sky, and I really kind of took a balance rather than go up here into Tools. I'll show it to you again. Tune Image. Instead of messing around with highlights and shadows, I did it with ambiance and got by with 2 things. Brightness is the whole thing. Shadows only affects the shadows. Highlights only affects the highlights. Warmth warms it up one way. To the right, to the left, it's cooler. Okay. Saturation. It's saturated enough for me, but that's okay. So now I've done another step. Now I'm going to do one more. It's not the easiest step, but you're going to see, and I'll explain it to you. On other applications, you can see it real well. This one, not so much. But I'm going to go in here and check that in, go back to Tools, and this time in Tools, I am going to go into Tune In. Oh no, I'm going to hit Tonal Contrast. Just hit it. Leave it like it is. Don't change anything. It's good enough. It really is. If you want to screw around with it, you're wasting your time. It's just enough. And if it's too much, you see, if I show you what the tool's done here, it actually adjusted 3 of the tools. But it's just, and I could pull it down a little bit, but it just gives a little snap. Now, I did not want the clouds to snap. I want the other things. The clouds get a little fakish. Now, it's hard to see on your little phone, but you blow that up big on a big screen, you'll see it. So I will lock that in, what I did, the contrast. Now, this is one of the exciting things. I'll come back up here, right here, touch that, and then go down to View Edits. The last one was Tonal Contrast. And I hit that little caret pointing to the left. You see, I have a trash can. I could trash that whole thing. There's a paintbrush. I'm going to click that paintbrush. Now, I've got the eye down here, blue. You can turn it off, but I got it set. I think it will do it. So when I start painting, and I move my finger up here, whoop, that was kind of screwy. So now to get that out of there, I take the arrow down and just clean that up. Okay, so now I'll go back all the way up 100%. But then I'm going to make that tool smaller. By making the picture bigger, you make the tool smaller so you got some control of it. So now I'll start having a little control. And by the way, it does fade out on the edges. So you can see what I'm doing here. And this little thing right here is kind of guides you around. And but you want to control that thing as best you can. Oh my gosh, there's an aerial up there. And it will fade off on the edges, so it's a little forgiving. You can kind of see what I'm doing now. Of course, when you in a big area, you do that. But I'm going to pretty well cover that building. But when I get to the far edges, I keep it blown up so I don't overdo too much. Put this down here, over here. And when I get near an edge, that's why I blow it up. It just gives you more precision. And just for now, to save a little time. Okay. It's over here. So then I could go to the other. So then I would do the other ones, and the other ones, and so forth. Now I'll lock it in. Now what I did, I gave that tonal contrast. Now normally, I'll get that out of the way here. I'll put the arrow up here. I normally do it to this skyscraper, this one over here, this one over here, this stuff down here. But I'm going to save a little time. But I'm going to show you what is so nice about this. You can control many of these tools with that paintbrush. Nobody will know but you. And to me, that's really kind of important. Okay, tools again. And now I'm going to go to details. And details is another thing. I would do probably the same thing on details because details is structure, mid-tone contrast, and sharpening. Well, I don't want to sharpen the sky. So if you're really particular and really want to produce a good image, you'll do this. Now, it's also all kind of cutesy things you can do. You could make a black and white photo, and then you could just paint what you want black and white and leave some color areas in. So there's all kind of things that you can do with this. I'm admitting somebody, Carlos.
Oh, great.
I can just snap at the top and do it. Work. Okay. So now I've locked it in. And now I'm going to put my finger on the photo, hold it down, see where we started. There's where we are now. And again, you at home can play with this or not play with it. It's up to you. But The next thing is really important. Export. Now the PC may be different, but I touch export and I should have save a copy, creates a copy with changes you can undo, or export. Save a copy because you want the original picture so you can play with it again. You know, if you start saving and don't do it the right way, then you'll lose that original picture. That's your digital negative. So you don't want to lose that digital negative. Now, other tools down here, one that I like a lot is the brush tool. With the brush tool, and look, dodge and burn, the old darkroom thing. Here's one, saturation. Interesting. I could take out the saturation, and I've done that at times. I had a gravel road in Sparks Lane, and after I got done fixing it, it was blue. Well, I don't want a blue gravel, so I just use that saturation brush right there, and then go down to 0, or all the way down, -10. And by the way, when I do things with these brushes, I never go the most because it goes on or off too fast. So I'm just telling you about that right now. That's another handy tool. Back to tools again. We've got expand, and if we need to expand for some reason, that's a handy tool. I could actually pull up a little bit. You can't do too much, but you pull with your finger a little bit, and pull down on the bottom down here a little bit, and it will actually bring in some of the material that's there, and you can increase or decrease. So that's another handy tool. And if you look up here, view edits, there's all the different things I've done. So, and you can trash anything. Like I'll trash that expand thing there. Take that out. Then hit the arrow up here, and then we're out. Now, I've gone kind of fast, but the program notes, the speaker's notes, will have exactly what I showed you here. And and there's other tools in here, really creative stuff. The Nior, oh, you can create some interesting stuff there. The grunge, grainy film, Retrolux, double exposure. That's kind of a fun thing. But some people, but again, you don't have to do this stuff. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Everybody knows that old saying. I can see my time is moving along, so I'm going to have to move along here. And I'm going to flip from the bottom. If you got a button on the bottom, hit the button. Because now we're going to go into this other tool here called Retouch. Touch Retouch, it was $1.99 if you bought it. And we'll open that tool. And then it says, want to open an album. So I'll go in here, album. And then I'm gonna go into the albums I have here. It should be in here. Yeah, there it is. My barn. Okay. There's my barn. And by the way, I'm holding this vertical. The picture probably would be bigger, but somehow the Zoom program doesn't like it. If I just show a picture, if I start messing with tools and things, it does not like it. And I'll also show you later. I can hold up my little picture here. I have electronic stylus, which works too if you don't want to always use your finger. They're less than $30. I think they're $21. When I bought it was $18. The price went up. But this has a clone tool, which is wonderful. It has line removal tool, segment removal tool. It has select removal, quick repair, clone stamp, and it just has a lasso tool. It's just wonderful. But I want to go back to line removal tool. And then over to the side is a thick, medium, or thin. I'm just, for the heck of it, probably going to, let me put maybe medium. We'll see how that works. In fact, I can even use my finger, but I'm going to use my little tool here. And I'm just going to follow along and kind of, I'll use my finger on that tool. I'll go over here, down in here. Here's one. A little bit hard to see. I'll blow it up a little bit. Here's a wire I missed. Pretty good. Oh, here's a tent stake. Oh, that's a thick one. So I'll put down thick and go down here. There, got it. There's a shadow. Got the shadow. Now, that is not hard, is it? Of course not. I'll show you another one now. And I'll go back to the clone tool. Now, all of you that have Photoshop or Photoshop Elements, let's say that I want to take that quilt block up. You know, a lot of, they put them on barns and things and put another one up. So I'm going to take the clone tool and put the barn sidings over here. And then I'll just start moving, get siding over here, and use the clone tool and take that out. Oop, I want that. Sometimes you have to redo it. And I'm going to do this, a little bit of shadow here. Shadow doesn't do much for me. So then, that was a clone tool. Now, there's some other tools here. Let's see where it was here. Lasso tool. Now, I'm going to go down here. Let's say I don't want that white frame there. I'll just take the lasso tool and go around it. And this says go. Oop, I missed it. I missed it. Go. It's gone. So there's another tool. And then there's a brush tool there. Here's a quick repair tool. Let's just see if I can do it this way too. That did it too. So I've got a bunch of tools here. I see one shadow up here that I missed or something. Look at that one. That's let's go back to the line removal tool. Line removal looks like a thick line to me. Just go that. Boom. Now this is a dumb picture. Why did I show it to you? Because I can show a lot of things fast. It's a demo picture. Then what we do, we go up above here to the top. Second up here. Up here to the top, right there. Touch that. Save as a copy. Very important. Now, you got to play if you've never done the clone tool, if you have trouble. It does work, but you have to go slow and keep moving where you're cloning from. Now, you know, the clone tool, which is kind of interesting. The clone tool also, you can put something in. You could clone somebody's eye and put it in the forehead and have a three-eyed person. Most of us photographers use it to take things out. But sometimes you may want to move a rock to a new place and you clone that rock in a new location instead of taking it out. So you know what I'm talking about here, but it's a handy thing to do. Now, I've gone kind of fast, and I know that, and it's just like anything else. Play, play, play. We adults have to play. And there's more than one way to do things. And I say that. You know, I'm going to go back to my notes here. Let's see what. Oh, black and white. That's another thing. Let's say I've got a color picture here. And I'll just take this one right here. And by the way, I just click the picture, and then down at the bottom, right here, that's that little thing. I'll hit that, and it says at the bottom, I think it says copy image. Yeah, at the top, copy photo. So I copy the photo. So I'll go back here, open Snapseed, open it second time. Down at the bottom, it says paste image. So now we're going to paste that image in. And in our tools here, we have down here, black and white. So now we're changing the color into black and white. And Snapseed is pretty darn good. It gives us neutral, contrast, which is pretty good too. Bright, dark, film, darker sky. I'm just for now just going to go to bright. But there's some tools down here, and like a circle. And this is like the olden days, in film days, we would put on a red filter to make a sky black, or sometimes a yellow or orange. And you can see how it's changed. There's the green. And it's kind of what you like. You'll see what happens when you do this. Blue really makes it dark. Green wasn't bad. Not bad. And then you can play with it too. So I'm just going to lock that in. So you got all these options, but then I like that green filter as a starting point. So now I've got that as a starting point. And if I want to dodge and burn, because I'm in Snapseed, I could take that roadway, that gravel, I'll go to Tools, I'll go to Brush, and I'll go to Dodge and Burn. I'll make it brighter. So then I'll go down to 5 so it doesn't go so fast. I'll just start brushing here and make that road lighter. Or I could lighten up a little bit on the grass on the side. It's pretty dark. It's so dark it pulls my eye over. So now I'll maybe want to darken a little bit over here a little bit just to balance out. Give it a little more, maybe in the sideline over here or up here in the top a little bit. You know, I can always vignette. But again, I'm darkening now, but I could brighten. Let me brighten up a little bit. Brighten this side of so that all 3 trees are kind of bright on the same side. Lock it in. So black and white. And you'll see some other applications like Blackie and some other things that I use for black and white. And so now I'll export it, save as a copy. Very important. Okay. Now, I've gone kind of fast here, but most of you are photographers. You've done Photoshop or Photoshop Elements. It's the same thing. By the way, I'm going to try something here. I'm going to get out of the picture. I'm going to go to some pictures here. Oops. Go to my photos. And I'm going to go to recent here. And there, by the way, notice it says raw up here. I shot this at 2007 on a riverboat trip in European rivers. And I shot it in RAW on an older camera that I had. So it showed up in RAW and edited. I was playing with this here. Morning fog, European riverboat trip. But I'm going to turn it to the side right now and see what happens. So you can see it a little bit better. Get this out of the way here. Well, pretty much out of the way, but you can get a little bit better picture. What happens when I do this, sometimes I lose the different tools, and that's why I've been doing the whole thing in a vertical position. So you could see the tools. I could see them, but I want you to see the tools and what's available. And then we get the regular edits here. Remember I told you, since the 14.4, they've improved. I'll hit this here. And then I'm going to start in here and just make some of these. Here's balance. You lighten this up a little bit. So I can control this. Now, Snapseed controls wherever you want to. These control generally the whole thing. But sometimes it's just moving a couple things get done, and that's all you got to do. to satisfy yourself. Remember, you're the photographer. It's your picture. And if you want to get creative, that's okay. I'm going to get out of this. I am going to show you one creative thing that I like, that I use a lot. Just a second here. And it's called Distressed FX. Now, this is Distressed FX Plus. So if I wanted to put this in competition, and I put something in here, if I made the texture, which I do, you can make your own. You can buy them. They come in here. But if you want to make your own textures, you can. And so I'll go into Distressed FX. And let me get out of this. Let me get photos. Choose from the photo here. And so I'll pick something in here that I put in just for this. Just a second. Oh, by the way, just so you see it, it's kind of funny. I did do a series of photos. Where is it here? I did a series of photos of my car in the garage. And it's kind of crazy, but I put the car and then I put a snow scene on it. And that's double exposure in Snapseed. And I call this Nature Won Out Over the Hand of Man. You know, but that was a double exposure. I'm just showing, cancel out of here. But I've started playing with this already. And this is a black and white photo. Choose some photos. And I think I've got it in my groupie here. I know I put it in. Someplace. Oh, I know it. It's in albums. And it's in favorites. Now I'll get the picture. Here it is. It's a black and white picture. Done. And now this is my picture. I can do with whatever I want to with it. But over here, you can see we have a whole series of things. It says none right now or none. And these are, some of them are textures, some of them are colors. And I'm going to take this one that's got a little blue in the top. And so now I've changed the picture from a black and white. And by the way, this was not shot on an iPhone because it's a quarter of a mile away. So I used my micro four thirds camera, put on a 100 to 400 lens. So I shot that at 700 millimeter because I could not go into the farmer's field. That's his livelihood. And I always wondered, why did he leave that tree that's taking up space where he could get crop out? So now I picked that. This says multiply, and I could go overlay, hard light. So I even got that going for me. And then I got down here, I got some textures done right now. Some of these textures are kind of crazy. Some of them are real dirty looking. It kind of depends what you want. And Azure Sky, charm. Oh, that's almost like oil painting. But then you got controls here that you can move this up or down, brighten it or darken it. You can paint a layer more, whatever. Look at that. And then I can come down here and make changes of both of them. So I got sliders down here. And so I can come up, lock it in. And there's my changed picture. This is my picture, so I can do with what I want to it. Would I enter this in competition? Probably not. Would I do something with it? Probably. I would share it with my grandchildren or great-grandchildren because they know where this tree is. And in fact, I may give it to the farmer. And but it was a black and white picture. That's the way I had it because it was kind of a snowy day and so forth. And it was a white sky. So it was kind of a minimalistic type of thing. Okay, that was Distressed FX. There's other things here. If you don't have an iPhone 12 Pro or 12 Pro Max, and you want to shoot RAW, camera +2. And up here where it says auto, I can pick RAW. and you can shoot raw. Why shoot raw? Well, maybe on shoot it regular, but if you shoot raw, you've got so much more things that you can fix with it. You can really play, and it's more powerful. It has, instead of just 256 shades of colors, it's thousands of shades of colors. But you can do it on your iPhone. And again, if you have the 14.4, the latest operating system, and if you can't upgrade to it, you really ought to get a new phone. You're a photographer. Come up in the age of some of this quality stuff here. And so anyway, it's about, well, it's getting time maybe for some questions.
Yeah, Jerry, one point on that, raw, you can also, the Lightroom app for your iPhone also allows you to shoot raw with any phone that will support that app.
That is correct. And right here it is.
The Lightroom app, right.
Now, let me tell you about this Lightroom app. If you don't own Lightroom, that's okay. Because now you can go in here and shoot. And the shooting part of Lightroom, to shoot raw, and I'm saying is, you can get this for free without even having Adobe Lightroom. The only thing is, when you start editing, okay, I get out of here and I start, say, editing a photo. There's an infrared one that explains river. The first thing, selective, you don't have that choice. There's about 3 things that you don't have in all the tools, a lot of tools. 3 things, and you get it for free. I hope my friend JF is listening. He may not be, but it's free. You don't have to pay for it. There's just a couple tools that you don't get. But now you're working with a raw file, just like Camera Plus 2. And you didn't have to pay for the Lightroom mobile. So why do I have Camera Plus 2? I like it. And there's some other things I've done with it. Shooting infrared, I like to use raw because I've got this real dark filter, and the infrared filter really works best with either an iPhone 11, especially 11 Pro Max, or the 12 Pro and Pro Max. I'll tell you that right now.
I'm sorry, Jerry, explain how you shoot infrared with your phone again.
Sure, I'll show you. Thank you. Good question. Because somebody's going to ask that question later and say, well, why didn't I ask him that question? How do I do that? Just a second here. I got to get the photos, my albums, favorites. Right here, you need a Moment case, M-O-M-E-N-T. They make Moment lenses, the best, like Zeiss lenses for your camera.
Right.
So if you have a Moment case.
There's my Moment case.
Okay, this here, and I'll tell you, I was buying other things, the Moondog Lab type of stuff, and it's harder to use because of light leaks on the giant camera, on the big camera on my iPhone. And this thing takes a 67 millimeter screw-in filter. You can buy it through B&H like a Hoya, if you don't already have one. If you have a larger one, you can have a step-up, step-down ring. And then you just put this on first. And by the way, the opening is not square. You got to be sure you line it up with your opening on your multi camera. And then tighten it down on the other side, and put on raw before you do it, and put the filter in. And then it goes into night mode, so it opens up so you can see it. The night mode automatically turns up. So it doesn't work really good before the 11 Pro Pro Max and the 12 Pro Max.
So that's an attachment you can get on the Moment website,
That is on the Moment website.
and then you just put it in any infrared filter that you have that you've already have.
The
That's
best
67.
one, the best one is 720 nanometer. It says it's a color, but it's in the color range. But it's where you get. We're only taking black and white infrared. We're not getting into, because otherwise you'll get a. I've got 2 cameras that are made that were converted. If I want to get into color infrared versus black and white infrared, but that to think that you can do this on a cell phone and get some pretty good quality pictures. I'll show you one here. This is garbage day at my house. And that's not bad for infrared, is it? Not bad at all.
Yeah, and that's obviously, like, you have a tripod, right? That's like a long exposure.
Handheld.
Oh,
But I've got the 12 Pro Max, and it's got a stabilization. The actual sensor will move.
yep.
And I found out from Jack Davis that I can put it on a tripod, because then instead of maybe taking on the night mode, instead of taking maybe 3 pictures, it could take maybe 10. So there's advantage of that. I'm just showing you. Here's another infrared, and I toned it. I'm showing this to you just because sometimes people want to take tripods into places that you can't do it, like the different museums. Nobody stops me with this. It's a Manfrotto device. This is the Pro device. There's a cheaper one for $11 or $12. Home Depot, an eyelet with a 1/4 20 thread, and it comes with a nut. 1/8 inch nylon cord. I tie a bowline knot. You can look up on the internet how to tie a bowline knot if you were a Boy Scout or forgot. And then I put a little glue on it, and I put a little on the ends. I just kind of burn it so it seals it up. You stand on that, stick in your pocket. So that's my tripod many times if I need a tripod. With the 12 Pro Max, Jack Davis tells me that he can hold it up to 3 seconds. Well, I don't know, but anyway, or you can lean against a post or something. But I'm telling you about this because it's kind of exciting that we can do this on a crazy iPhone, as Jack Davis calls it, his bloody iPhone. Well, listen, are there any more questions right now from anybody? To ask the question, hold down the space bar and you can talk. Well, okay, now I'm going to send to Carlos my latest speaker notes, and I'll be updating again before I send it. He'll get it probably Friday or Saturday, and then he'll send it to you or put it online. I share these. And by the way, when you know something, share and help other people, because then they'll help you. There's some people that don't like to share. Well, then I don't care to share with them. But that's my thing. That's my thing. But I share, but help other people. I'll tell you who helped me find this little thing that I'm showing you that Moment has, and I like it better than the Moondog Lab, was Sullivan from the Lake County Camera Club, because he wanted to do it. And he had an Android phone. He said, oh, what do I can get? And he found it, and he said, it works. And I like it better than the Moondog Lab. But I'll tell you something else. I was asked a question Tuesday, by a real smart person, a graphic designer, but he uses his iPhone occasionally. But he said, Jerry, the problem with the iPhone is when you're out in the bright sun, really bright sun, and you're trying to look at the LED screen and you can't see. It's blind. You're blinding your eyes. Well, Kim George, student of mine, and she's going to be taking over my classes at the clearing. I won't be teaching up there anymore. There's problems with various problems. Carol's got some health issues and we can't go up together. But anyway, Kim George says Moon Dog, one word, Moon, MOON, DOG, space labs, LABS, has this inexpensive thing, and it's like a hood that fits over, and so it works. So they have a thing. A lube kind of works, but now those lubes are, they want $89 for those Hoodman lubes. And this Moondog thing is, oh, it's not that expensive. But if you're doing out in the bright sun, you'll stop the car, you see something, but you don't want to cut off somebody's head or something. Be nice to just put that thing on, and it's especially if you have a long billed hat, or somebody hold a black cloth over you, like the olden days. But that is a problem.